if we want to stay there for a second, and let's just highlight a little bit more deeper Operation Car Wash, okay? I'll tell you what I found, and then you tell me if this is correct or if you want to add anything to it, okay? So Operation Car Wash, biggest corruption in history of Brazil ever.
I believe in the world.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard world, I've heard obviously Brazil, but it's political biggest corruption you read about. Then the people know what's happening. Some of the people that voted for Lula, they say everybody steals from us, but we like this guy. You know, at least this guy gives us some of the money that he's also stealing. He gives it to us as well. That's what I've heard some people say. Now, that may be right or wrong. When this took place, there was this perfect place where they were building this ambitious energy project, Itabori, in Brazil, estimated to create 200,000 jobs. It was 45 square kilometers. And during this time, when they're going through this project, it caused Lula to go to jail for 12 years, which he only did 580 days, give or take, at this federal police headquarters in the city of Curitiba, if I'm not mistaken. His successor, Dilma, was impeached. Then her successor, Michel, was charged for corruption. The former CEO of Odebrecht, Marcelo Odebrecht, went to jail for 19 years. The case showed that the company paid $788 million in bribes in connection with more than 100 projects in 12 different countries from 2001 to 2006. Enrique Batista, which at one point was the richest man with a net worth of $35 billion in 2012, the next year his net worth goes from $35 billion to $200 million. The following year, according to Bloomberg, in 2014, his net worth is minus $1 billion. He went to jail for 30 years. In 2016, 11 projects were stalled in Brazil alone due to this corruption. 17 projects were stalled in 7 other countries: Cuba, Guatemala, Honduras, Dominican Republic, Colombia, Peru, Venezuela, Argentina. 1 irrigation project in Peru where 3 former presidents were accused of taking money from Obrecht. And eventually this Operation Car Wash scandal cost Brazilians 500,000 jobs. Now here's the thing. If something like this happens, and Lula's name is tied to it. When he left, you see the numbers. His popularity was 80%, 90%. You read stats like that. How does a person like this come back and is able to run and win? Because, you know, in America, they'll say, well, look at Biden's corruption. Look what they've done. Look, Biden's never done time in jail. We don't have presidents that have done jail time in U.S. and come back and they get elected. Some people want to have many of our presidents go to jail. Some people say that guy belongs in jail. This guy belongs in jail. But this guy actually went to jail, and he got caught stealing money and bribery, and he wins. How does that happen in a country like Brazil?
That's a very good question, Patrick, and I think we need to go to the media to answer that. Like a lot of similarities what's going on in Brazil that what happened 2 years ago in United States. So the narrative they have is that Bolsonaro, just like Trump, is a huge threat to democracy. He's a fascist. He's gonna took power and never leave and all that. So with this narrative, the media goes against Bolsonaro in every detail, like with very fake news narratives. And by the same way, but at the same time, the Supreme Court releases Lula, finds that the judge responsible for his first condemnation, he was convicted, he was considered guilt, but in the first decision, Sergio Moro, the judge behind the car wash operation, he's fined like he's suspicious. He has political interests. So they release Lula, and after many years, they kind of find a problem with the zip code. Oh, Lula was not supposed to be judged by the car wash operation, the legal system in Curitiba. He was supposed to be judged in Brasilia. And they find it 4 or 5 years later. And then they considered Lula able to run again, which was not possible by law in Brazil. So to understand and to answer what's going on in Brazil and to answer your question, it's very important to understand that the whole system, and I mean the Supreme Court, the Congress, and the media, the 90% of the media, they were trying to help Lula go back to power because they want Bolsonaro out of it. They want to get rid of Bolsonaro. That's the first goal. So they try many different names in the center left. Paulo mentioned that there's kind of a fight among the left. They try many names in the center left. No one worked because they don't have the popularity. And Lula still has some, especially in the poor parts of Brazil. So they try many names, and then they came with Lula with this kind of rigged decisions to get rid of Bolsonaro. That's what happened.
And you asked if we hold mostly the same opinions, and we do. I think that's the area we differ a little bit, because I agree with 99% of what he said. So what happens is that the establishment noticed after Bolsonaro got elected, they were so surprised, and they were like, "What's going on? What the hell's going on here?" Russia collusion was not a thing in Brazil, but WhatsApp and robots and the same excuses to why this guy, which they portrayed as the devil himself, how this guy got elected. So they were like, okay, who can beat this guy? No one. So the like he mentioned, the center guys, they were like dull politically, no big names. And they were, okay, I think we need to reestablish Lula's reputation. So he was, and I agree with him, he was a union between the media, the mainstream media, big role in that, big role. They shifted 180 degrees. So you get the same news anchors like Jornal Nacional, main, like our CBS Evening News, okay?
Globo?
Globo,
yeah,
yes.
Globo.
You got William Bonner,
Yep.
the same guy that was like, Lula was convicted of corruption. To 2 years later, he was like, oh, Lula, you've been acquitted in all courts. It's like, no, you have not. So what happened is that, yes, so the media, the Supreme Court with the justice appointed by Lula, and the elites, I'm talking about financial markets as well, the academia, everyone, the whole establishment, they all got together and say, we gotta support Lula. And that's how they rebranded and reestablished Lula's reputation. But that being said, that was only possible, in my humble opinion, because Operation Car Wash became a power grab in the middle of it. Okay, they lost their ways.
So with all the craziness taking place, I believe future looks bright. If you believe future looks bright, get your latest Future Looks Bright hat of Valuetainment. It says Future Looks Bright here, Future Looks Bright here. We got them in white, we got them in black, we got them in red. Our black on black sold out. These are about to sell out. If you haven't ordered one yet, we had a person in Michigan, bought one, then he bought three. Then when those three people weren't in the office, they had to order 58 of them because people wanted the Future Looks Bright hat, especially during times like this, because ain't nobody saying Future Looks Bright. To order your Future Looks Bright hat, click over here. And to watch the entire podcast, click here. Take care, everybody.